Yeah, so about 8 years ago when Sanghadhara, who wasn't quite Sanghadhara yet, asked me, would you like to get involved with young Buddhist things? I just said, no. I think that was the first time I met him. You got me in the end. Okay, so I just want to start with two vignettes from my life. Really, they're, in a way, I'm just talking to what Pranaketu said yesterday about better bliss. Well, we'll start there anyway. So this is 2007, so just a few months before I encountered Triratna. I was working as an investment banker in the City of London, and I was working for a big American investment bank. And in 2007, it was just before the crash, so it was like super peak. And I was on this thing called a non-deal roadshow. I mean, these days you won't ever be allowed to do something like that. Like just go on a roadshow without having to sell anything, just basically wine tasting all over Europe. I had my client, and we rang up some investors, and I flew into Madrid. It was not a very nice Madrid day. It was really rainy, and the traffic was very bad. But we were put up at the Ritz. Yes, so I'd never been to the Ritz in Madrid before. It's incredible. The rooms are beautiful. They have this amazing salon, and it's just wonderful. If you ever get put up at the Ritz in Madrid, I would suggest that you go. So we then got into a cab, and I got taken to this amazing restaurant. It's like I think we might have even booked out this one of the nicest private rooms in Madrid. And in the dining room, there was this little thing that opened up in the ground, and it took you down into the cellar. And we just looked at wines, and the whole dinner we just like tasted wine, and ate a bit, but mainly we just tasted wine, and it was amazing. So then I got back to my hotel room, which is a very nice hotel room, like I said, and I just felt really, really lonely. It was in this amazing place, amazing toiletries, amazing bed sheets, and I really wanted to talk to someone and have a real conversation. And I tried. So I called my friend Jonathan, who I went to university with. He was in London. And I tried to tell him what was going on. But it was so hard for him to understand that. It was so hard for him to, just understand why I was upset. And I think he probably just said something like, just try not to drink too much. And so I put down the phone. So I thought I'd just leave that there for a moment and then tell you about my ordination retreat. So I was ordained 2 years ago with Akasa Jyoti and Dayasihi and Dharma Mayi. And I was listening to my Welcome Back talk at the London Buddhist Center because Alex reminded me about it. And apparently, there's a video of this. Apparently I said, so the tabloid headline of Danayutta's ordination retreat was, Danayutta has the happiest time of her life. Yeah? And I think I really, really did. There was this particular period after I got ordained, so after I became Danayutta, and it felt as if every single day I was just getting happier and happier and happier. And just to describe a bit about the ordination retreat, I mean, Adhisthana is beautiful and lovely, and not at all like Akashavana, where women get ordained. It's quite a lot more simple, Akashavana. You share rooms, 5 to a room, something like that, not the Ritz. It was so crowded that I actually decided I was going to camp, and I camped somewhere, and every morning I got to walk past the compost loos where there's no running water. So, but there was something on the Ordination Retreat that completely satisfied me. And it satisfied me at so many different levels. It was like the satisfaction of, it's almost like a primal satisfaction, being part of a pack of creatures moving towards something, aiming towards something, practicing together, living together really closely. And from the depth of practice, there arises intimacy. And it's almost the intimacy where the boundaries between self and others start to attenuate, but not in like a sentimental way of like, oh yeah, I definitely feel your pain. It's not, I mean, you do, but it's not sentimental. And sometimes when I see a Kasajoti or Dharma Maya Siddhasihi, I can still tap into that. Like when Dharma Maya laughs, something happens in me. It's almost like my heart laughs, my liver laughs, you know? And it's visceral rather than sentimental, yeah. But also, the transcendental is very, very important. In a way, if we didn't have that, I don't think, if you just sort of took a group of people, I mean, basically, that's what reality TV shows are, aren't they? You take a group of people, you put them in quite an intense situation. But I don't think they get that, yeah? They don't get that resonance. You do need something of the transcendental to do that. So in terms of the quest, I'm not sure if I really respond to the word quest. I think maybe in my life I sort of conceptualize it a bit more like having a path of practice and really putting myself in context where I can pursue that path of practice. So maybe sometimes people want to know how it is that I managed to go from investment banking to what I do now, which is working at the London Buddhist Center. So I distinctly remember a time, well, just one morning, where I was in the lobby of this investment bank I was working at. It was a different one, actually. I was working with Laurie, who's sitting over there. And I was in the lobby pitching a project. And I was just pacing up and down, and I was pitching this new right livelihood / yoga project to Nyanavacha, who was then chair of the London Buddhist Center. I really wanted to work at the London Buddhist Center, but that wasn't really a job for me. And I met Garavavati, who also really wanted to work at the London Buddhist Center, and that wasn't really a job for her. So we just decided to make our own jobs, basically. And we thought, okay, well, what can we do? Well, we're both really into yoga, so why don't we just ask the London Buddhist Center whether they would like to have 2 yoga teachers and some yoga classes. And we wrote a business plan, and I spoke to Yanavacha, and I was like really doing my best pitch, And fortunately, he liked it. And it took some time for us to do that. But it was, for me, like a culmination of quite a few years of trying to get involved, really. It was probably about 2 or 3 years before that I had thought, I really, really want to live and work with other Buddhists. Mainly because I just want to be around great people. I just want to be around people who share my values, people who want to do what I want to do, and people who can help me do that. Yeah. I mean, in a way, I don't want to be too down on contexts that are not Buddhist. Actually, when I was working in an investment bank, particularly the American one, I really enjoyed it. I had a great team, people are super intelligent, everything's like fast-paced, and it's great to make money. It's so enjoyable making money. Yeah? But, I think it would be unreasonable for me to expect my boss to, ask me things like, when the lawyer says it can't be done, the computer says no, are you sure? Can you transform your irritation from wrong view to right view to, no view? I think it'd be really, unreasonable for me to ask that of my ex-colleagues, really, because that's not what they're there for. They're there to, maximize shareholder value, yeah? But, working at the London Buddhist Center, that is what we're there for. We're there to help each other transform. We're there to help other people transform. We're there to hold open a doorway to the Dharma. And it's not as if like working at the London Buddhist Center is like a bed of roses. Garbhavati's sitting over there, and it's very hard starting a business. It has cost us, and in some ways it's also cost our friendship, but it's also really built our friendship. So I also want to talk a little bit about renunciation. I don't really think about renunciation so much as giving up stuff, but more think about it as growing up. Because I think a lot of my journey, my path, has been renunciation. You can already get a flavor of that, can't you? Just moving towards something much, much more simple, something much more, away from a particular kind of richness to another kind of richness. And it's, I think by and large, renouncing stuff has been quite easy. It's quite easy to stop, going to fancy meals. It was kind of quite easy to stop taking cabs to work every day. And I say that actually, but I recently moved into my flat, and I moved in with my husband, and I really noticed that I've got like this much wardrobe space, and he's got like this much wardrobe space. And I work at the Buddhist Center, and he actually works in the corporate world, so I do have like a whole half a wardrobe full of shoes and handbags. But I was thinking last week, maybe I should like eBay some of this stuff. So there is hope for me yet, and still, and still some way to go, But I think in terms of renunciation, there's this thing about renouncing stuff. But I think something much, much more important and much more sort of potent is thinking about renouncing our particular self-view. So in a way, stopping taking cabs everywhere was a thing, but it was much harder to, I guess, leave behind a view of myself as somebody who has a glamorous job, or somebody who is really capable or awesome, or I suppose it's much harder to give up the identity of investment banker. But I think it's really important to work on those things. It's really important to work on our self-clinging to a particular view of ourselves, a narrative of our lives. It made me really think about when Pranaketi was talking about a longer now. Because one of the things I think about the longer now is this thing of just simply being with what is. And when we're telling ourselves stories of ourselves, whether it's, I guess like my story was along the lines of, I'm too sexy for my shirt. But the other side is like, I'm a terrible person, no one loves me. I'm basically beleaguered by self-criticism. That's still also just a story of ourselves, which in a way, it doesn't really matter which extreme that we go to. Like both of them are just delusional narratives that we hold on to. And the worst thing is that we spend a lot of time shoring up those narratives. And if we really want to live in the longer now, I think we do need to renounce those fears. We do really need to just think, okay, what is? What is just right now? What is it? And just stay with that. Just stay with that. And stay with it, and stay with it, and stay with it. Yeah? Okay. So the last thing I want to say is in the area of deeper responsibility. One of the things that really preoccupies me right now is this question of it's basically a variation of what am I doing with my life, which is what is this all for? What is it that I'm serving? Yeah. And when I was thinking about leaving the city, I used to have this big diary, and every morning I wrote at the top of my diary this thing I had come across. I don't think it's particularly Buddhist, but it really helped me. It said, how you live your days is how you live your life. Yeah, so how you live your days is how you live your life. And the thought that I had back then was, man, I really don't want to live and die as an investment banker. It's really a low goal, you know? But still, these days I still think about what it is that I serve. What am I doing all this for? And I think it's an important question. I think it's a question that we all need to come back to again and again and again. How it's manifesting for me right now is that as I become a more experienced yoga teacher, a better yoga teacher, I'm being asked to cover classes for some of my friends, which I kind of do as a favor, not so much because I want to, but just more like I'm trying to help people out. And recently, I've been invited to cover classes at these amazing yoga studios. You know, the kind of yoga studios where you walk in and it's a bit like a boutique hotel. You know, marble floors, underfloor heating, really like, I don't know, it's just, the places even smell expensive. You know? They're really wonderful, beautiful places, beautiful studios, amazing kind of like well-designed, purpose-built things, yeah? Kind of like, I don't know, the Goldman Sachs of the yoga world, something like that, where everyone just seems like tall and blonde and like have amazing hair. And names like Candy. And I just think, like, what is this all for, and what do I want to serve? Yeah. And I think what I really want to serve is something that goes beyond all those things. You know, it includes those things. You know, it includes aesthetic refinement. It includes the primal animal parts of ourselves, but also really goes beyond. It goes beyond our ideologies. It goes beyond dogma, and a vision that can include all of this. And I want to serve that vision in every moment of my life, with everything that I do. It's a bit of a different way of talking about it, but I often meditate on the historical Buddha, and sometimes I imagine quite a traditional image. It's the image of the Dharma chakra, the wheel of the Dharma, in my heart. And on my best days, I try to come from that place. And on my worst days, in my worst moments, I try to come from that place. Yeah? So I'm just going to finish this whole area and finish my talk with something that Dharma Mai said last night, which I really loved. It's almost like when she said it, this electric current ran through my body. And she was talking about mantra as a love song to the transcendental. And I thought, oh yes, that's what I want. That's what I want. I want my whole life to be a love letter to the transcendental.